Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Empowering Monday, powered by ZRM Studios, a professional photo and video company. I'm your host, Mark Tablon, and today I have a co-host. Boyan is here with me right now, and tell me a little bit about yourself, Boyan.
Well, Mark, for anybody watching, I got to say we never met before. This is the first time we're having a conversation.
Yeah, like never, ever.
Never, ever. It's like we don't see each other almost every day. That's
Exactly.
not
No,
the case.
no, yeah.
No,
We don't talk that much.
no, not at all.
So, well, tell me a little bit about your position in ZRM Studios and what do you do in the company?
Well, interestingly, I got hired in ZRM Studios to be a editor.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing for the past like 5 years.
Yeah, plus
I-
among other bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually it really is spreading out to doing a lot of stuff at ZRM Studio. And it's videography, cinematography,
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff relating to audio, making the scenes, setting up everything, and enjoying every day of it.
Yeah, I mean, like your skills are like incredible, so that's why people here
you're just
really
saying
love
that.
you, man.
Well, I love everybody around here. It's a
Yeah.
really great place to work. We're constantly surrounded by people
Oh yeah, absolutely.
who are smiling, laughing out of their lungs.
That's right.
Yeah.
You hear that across the hallway every day, which is it gives you like a boost to work, which is good. It's
Yeah,
good. That's what we need.
not just smiles, but like thundering laughter.
Yeah, which is super nice.
Yeah, enjoying every day. Just can't wait to get back here and be in the hot seat for a
Yeah,
bit.
I know, right? Well, yeah. So Boyan here, actually, guys. If you guys have questions for us, or especially for me, you can comment your questions down below. We'll choose 3 people, and we can actually mention your name about your questions that we can, answer it in our podcast. So, yeah. So go ahead.
Well,
Boyan.
yeah, I've got some questions for you then.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, can you please tell me and everybody in the audience
Mm-hmm.
what was your journey on how you got started with this fine business and what really inspired you to go on this lonely wolf path of being
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
an entrepreneur?
Well, it's a mouthful question.
Yeah, it's like a triple question.
I
It's
know,
like,
right?
I know you can handle it.
Yeah, well, I mean, ZRM Studios basically started in 2018. I had a guy who mentored me back in 2017 before we registered our business. My wife and I talk about like having a business, but we didn't know what kind of business that we can, provide to the people. But then the real question is like what business that could help people and what business that we're passionate about. And back when I was in high school, I was taking photography. And then my wife, when we got married, I was taking a bunch of photos of her when we go to vacations, and we're just simply hanging out from at the park and stuff like that. And yeah, so I was just taking a bunch of photos, and then I realized that it's not really a passion, but it's like at first it's like the only thing that I know how to do, right? Because like telling you right now, I'm actually a high school dropout. So I got kicked out of school like a couple times. And yeah, so I was just like, you know what? There's like really nothing out there for me except photography. So that's the, I guess you can call that like, what do you call that again? Blessing in disguise. Because like, I know a lot of people nowadays, they have like so many access to the information online, so they cannot choose what pathway they're going to pursue because of like those so many things options, so many options out there, right? But for me, it's good because I only have one option, and that's the only thing that we push. So we push photography and videography, and back in 2018, we registered our business, ZRM Studios. ZRM Studios stands for Zafina, Rose, and Mark at that time, it was just me, my wife, and my daughter. But obviously, people knows that I have a second daughter, which we name her Jarell. So it's another Z. So I guess her name is still there in our company's name.
So it's like ZRM,
Yeah.
the family business. And so would you say that your passion has brought you to your business? Um, was that like something that happened, would you rather say by accident, or was this maybe something that was in your own making through the whole process?
Well, I believe that sometimes God put like an opportunity for you, but it's for you to grab, right? Nobody else's, right? So when the opportunity was presented to me, like I said, there was a guy who mentored me in 2017. This guy actually showed me how to, basically how to photograph, no, not photograph, how to film weddings and, 18th birthday and debuts and stuff like that. So it's kind of like he became my mentor during that time. And he reached out to me and he says like, hey, are you available on this date? I need like a second shooter. And yeah, from there we just kind of like connected. And yeah, I just kind of like grabbed the opportunity. Uh, but yeah, so that's basically, when the opportunity is presented to you, you just grab it, because like God is not going to give you the opportunity if you cannot like handle it. But it's up to you to grab it, or you just leave it like that.
And so how do you handle like all the challenges coming from not having a business to having
Yeah.
a successful business? How did you get over all those challenges?
Uh, well, there's a lot of things that you need to change if you wanted to become successful in the future. So basically, when you are working 9 to 5, right, you have this mindset that only, you get paycheck to paycheck every month. And that's kind of like my mindset back until like, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 years ago when we started like ZRM Studios. So when you have this mindset, uh, obviously you cannot run a company like that, or you cannot run a business like that. So I had to change. So I was like super negative person back in like 2017. Uh, but then when I changed my mindset, I actually started, doing like reading books, uh, listening to podcasts, doing motivational stuff, and not only listening but also applying to myself. So yeah, so it's a little bit of challenge, especially from the beginning. But when you get used to it, you actually change start to happen when you decide that you are ready to, change. Does that make sense?
Does it require any kind of like, let's call it mental, or maybe call it spiritual, whatever you coin, whatever you want to coin it,
Yeah.
qualities to like actually achieve that flexibility? So like, if you are presented with a challenge and
Yeah.
maybe you feel like you are not up to it, it's bigger than you, and then what is like your method of like tackling that challenge, firstly within yourself, like removing any kind of barriers?
Yeah.
Is that going to always kind of like come up? We're our own worst enemies, right?
Yeah.
And nobody can sabotage you as much as you can sabotage yourself. And then when you're presented with a challenge that something you've never done before, you just cannot
Yeah.
comprehend really what it takes. How do you approach something that is an uncharted territory? Because that's
Yeah.
really what growth is.
So yeah, exactly. When there's a challenges, I love challenges because like you can feel when you are being challenged, meaning there's a growth, right? If you solve that challenge, that means you grow, right? But in order for you to prepare for that challenge, you actually have to train yourself, not only like a couple of times a week, but basically it's like every day. When God presented to you that challenge, you'll be able to solve it, or even analyze right? And then when you analyze that challenge, maybe you can come up with a solution, right? But sometimes God is giving you like a little bit of challenge, but sometimes it's giving you like a lot of challenges. When you have a lot of challenges, you should definitely embrace it, because once you solve those challenges, that's the time when growth could occur, right? So I mean, like, yeah, I embrace challenges. I love challenges, right? Because like if you don't have any challenges, that means like you're not growing. You're just not exploring different areas of your business or yourself to get challenged, right? So if there's any challenges out there, I would like embrace it. And if problem is presented to me, I just solve it, and that's when growth happens, when you solve a problem. So I hope that answers your questions.
How do you find then the motivation? Like if you are overwhelmed by challenges, so like there's like way too many.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a temptation to fall into some kind of like a desperation and to be like, oh no, like what have I done? How did I get myself into this situation? I
Yeah.
cannot dig myself out. So when that mindset kind of like creeps in, starts seeping in, because
Yeah.
like we're all human and it's kind of like a defense mechanism
Yeah.
of a sort. So when those like thoughts and feelings
Yeah.
come rushing in, how do you deal with that?
Well, I'm actually a person who take notes to pretty much everything. So I actually have a journal. So if like challenges presented to me and I cannot solve it for some reason, then I just go back to my journal and just read it, and maybe I can find like the solution or answer to that challenge. When you saying challenge, are you referring to like problems and stuff like that?
Uh, Definitely like large scale problems.
Yeah.
In a sense of like if your company wants to change directions,
Yeah.
which is a big undertaking that like if you commit to it, then you got to stay on that course and kind of like get all the way through.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a small thing if you're going to like even, let's say, change the identity of like your company or actually the service that it provides. So those are like really big
Challenges and
decisions.
problems.
Yeah, big decisions, right?
Yeah. So, well, depends on the problem or the challenge itself. So, if it's like super big, obviously I need to focus on it and solve that problem or challenges. Uh, but I cannot just solve that overnight. Obviously, I have to, take a look at like all the area of the challenge or the problem, and where can I start solving it, right? Because the problem with a lot of people are like, if they if there's a problem and it's a challenge, if the challenge presented to you, they actually hide it. They actually, they don't face it. They run for it, right? But for me, I actually solve the problem or challenges step by step, right? So like, give me an example of the challenge.
Well, let's say your company wants to change the market, wants to go into a market that it hasn't been in before, and it requires reaching the clients, and it requires a changing of identity.
Yeah.
It requires a complete reinvention of itself.
Okay, well, this particular challenge is actually, you need the whole team to solve it. So you cannot solve it by yourself. Now, as a leader of this company, I actually asked my teammates what kind of solution we can use to solve these problems, right? If we wanted to expand, for example, ZRM Studios right now, we're looking to expand the company, right? And we came up with a lot of solutions. Like we were using like LinkedIn, and then we're using Facebook, word of mouth and stuff like that. And this came from the team. But what I did, was just asking questions, right? So at least we have like the goal, and then I asked the questions, and then we came up with solution as a team, right? depends on how big the problem is or how big the challenges are. You always have to have a team to solve those problems. Otherwise, if you're doing it on your own, you're probably gonna go crazy.
So what about really small
Mm-hmm.
problems, like when there's a whole lot of things that just kind of keep
Yeah.
uh, being thrown like wrenches into your wheel, right?
Yeah.
And then like you have an objective
Yeah.
to complete, but you're just getting sideswiped all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with those situations?
Well, when a challenges or a problem occur, you need to tackle it right away. Don't wait until those problems piles up. When that starts to happen, then it's really hard to control it. But if you solve it right away, as soon as possible, then that you can keep like the minimum damage of that problem, or you can even like, if you solve it, you can grow little by little, and then eventually you become, what's the words again, like a problem solver to either a small problem or a big problem.
So with all of this,
Yeah.
how many hours a day do you get to sleep?
I still get a lot of sleep.
Like too much?
Too much sleep. Well, a lot of people don't know about this, but I actually wake up very early in the morning. I wake up sometimes like 5 a.m., but a lot of times I wake up at 3 a.m. Reason being is like we only have 24 hours in a day. And before I was always complaining about the 24 hours. I wish I could have like 48 hours so I can, I can have more time to, finish the project, grow my business, stuff like that, right? But the problem with that is like I'm not auditing my time. I'm not like watching my time where it's going. So that was the problem. But I actually get like a lot of sleep. Sometimes I get 6 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep, right? I just learn how to manage my time basically. I hate when people are wasting my time, especially when it's like, when I have some very important things to do today and somebody come up to me is like, hey, can you do this? Or, can we have like a random conversation that doesn't even help me, grow my company, stuff like that. Or even something like a person who booked me for like, I don't know, a coffee or something like that, and that person doesn't show up. So that's things like I really hate when people do that, because like the most expensive commodity in life is your time. So if like people are wasting your time, you cannot get that back. If your money is being wasted by someone, then at least you can always get that sorry, always get that back, right? But again, time is very precious. So be mindful of your time. You should protect it all the time. Uh, Running a business is, I know it's very very difficult, right? Because like 100% of your time is like you have to have your full attention to the business 100% of the time. If you don't, then you know what they say is like somebody else's will take your position if you don't work hard for it. So if you're just wasting time doing I don't know, maybe a bunch of stuff like watching Netflix, for example, or maybe wasting your time playing games, right? Times is very 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 expensive for me, because like I said, you can never get your time back, but you can get your money back you know uh, if you're very smart, know how to get it back, obviously.
What would you say is the relevance in like owning a business, running a
Mm-hmm.
business, in having a network, like knowing people,
Mm-hmm.
knowing who people are, what their skills are?
Yeah.
Um, how relevant is that?
So, well, it's very relevant because, like, if you wanted to grow your business, you actually need to have a connections, right? I remember when we first started ZRM Studios. It's not ZRM Studios; it's actually ZRM Studio Photo and Video, and this was like sole proprietor. At this time, our community was so limited, so we don't get a lot of information, to grow our company. But now, having like the studio over here, so since we got the studio, like, and then meeting a lot of business owners, right? Like our community just grew to the point that like all the information that you need, so you're gonna have like access to it, right? So like in here at AJ and Associates, we actually have, a bunch of businesses that can help us out over here, right? So yeah, so having a community is very, very important when running a business, especially if you want it to grow. Doing it by yourself, it's very, very hard. Uh, you're like I said, when we're doing the meeting to improve or how we can grow ZRM Studios. So a lot of minds were like working at that time. But if you're just working on your own, those ideas that you guys came up with, I probably could not think of when I'm just doing it on my own. So yeah, so having a community is very, very important if you're growing your business. Otherwise, you're just limiting yourself to like a small area of your business.
Would you agree that listening is probably more important than talking?
I tell you this, man. Do you know the reason why we have two ears and one mouth? People, you guys should listen to this one. The reason why we have two ears and one mouth is we're supposed to be listening more than we're talking. So, like, here's the thing. A lot of people didn't know about this about me, but I always listen to people. I'm always the dumbest person in the room. You know the reason why I do that? Because when you're the dumbest person in the room, you actually get all the information of smarter people around you. If you're not asking the questions, if you're not pretending you don't know like those things that you wanted to know, you're not getting the right information, right? When you say I'm smarter with this person, that limits your growth, right? For example, right? If I tell you like, hey, Boyan, don't do this because I'm smarter than you. Don't like, color grade the way I color grade because I'm smarter than you. No, I always ask the information if, hey, how can I improve my videography, right? Obviously, I don't really know about audio. That's why you come in and says like, hey, you do this, you do that, like blah, blah, blah. And there you go. I improve my audio. Because like I said, I know I'm the owner of ZRM Studios, but I'm always listening to you guys because like I brought up like all the smartest people that I can have in the studio so that we can grow the company. If I hire somebody who's not smarter than me, then I'm just teaching that guy for like basically forever. And that's a waste of time because like I said, time is a commodity, right? I don't just, hire people who is like not smarter than me and expect the company to grow. You need to have somebody smarter than you or more experienced than you to grow a company, right? The problem with a lot of people is that they want it to be recognized. And this is a very, very danger to if you're running a business, right? You're the person who always want to be recognized by everybody.
I think it's a really smart thing to actually like have this podcast because that's exactly what you're doing, right? You're gathering people here to listen to them.
Exactly.
Smart people who have gone through these, figuratively call them battles, or maybe you
Yeah.
can literally call them battles, because like entrepreneurship is kind of like a lonely road.
Yeah.
And it's usually that people have visions. They have a vision of what they want to achieve, and that vision is in their head. And they might be really good, like at articulating their visions and find people who share them, and that's great. But still, kind of like the focus of the risk and the focus of time, energy, emotional, financial investment
Yeah.
is often focused on a single person or a family or maybe a partnership or whatever is the case, but it's not really kind of like widespread. And I think this podcast is a really great place
Yeah.
to let people, let their voices ring
Yeah.
because a lot of wisdom is acquired in a situation where you have to basically battle for your baby, your
Yeah.
business, right? For
Absolutely.
your
Yeah.
dream, for your creation.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why we started this podcast anyway, so we can gather all the business owners and hear their stories. Because like I know like social media nowadays, like it's so powerful that you get all the information that you need from online. But again, like talking to the real person, like one on one like this, you can get more information than just reading or listening to people online, right? Uh, that's the reason why we have this podcast as well, so we can empower everybody to go after their dreams and goals in their lives. Because like I wanted, like for me, helping people is like, it's the best thing. Money is okay. I mean, obviously, we need money. So the problem with people is like when they start their business or thinking about starting their business, they're actually chasing money and how much money is involved. Uh, the problem with that is like if you do that, the money will run away. If you chase the money will run away. But if you chase helping people, the money will just follow. Yeah, so there's a lot of people just chasing money, but not actually solving people's problem. And that's why their business is not successful, right? Because of, like the purpose is, it's not there. Like the purpose of helping people should be like your main purpose for starting a new business or starting your business. Otherwise, if you're just going after the money, then you're gonna have a lot of problem because like that this road is very stressful, right? If you're not passionate about what you're doing, if you're not pushing or if you're not chasing after your purpose, this road having a business is actually very stressful.
So would you say that if you are helping people, they literally are looking for you to actually have that help, which really comes at a cost.
Yeah.
So they're chasing you to give you money rather than the other way around. If you're trying to extract value from people, from public,
Yeah.
without actually providing a solution to their problems, without bettering their lives.
Yeah.
But if you're doing specifically that, then they seek you out, they call you, they
Yeah.
email you, they
Yeah.
are like, we heard of you, we
Yeah,
know of
exactly.
you,
Yeah.
I know how you helped my friend, I know this and this, can you do
Yeah.
the same for me?
Yeah. So, well, every person or every companies or their situation is very different, right? We have these big clients, like big multi-billion-dollar companies that we're helping to solve their problem, and there's the small businesses that they have like a very small problem that we can solve as well. So that depends on the people that contact ZRM Studios. If they contacted us saying like, hey, we need like a videographer, to maybe create ads for our business because like we are pushing like this campaign, and is this amount possible for, our vision? So basically they have like the budget for what they're looking for. And sometimes if like our company cannot help the company, we just refer them to other companies because like we have the community anyways. Again, but like the smaller businesses though, it's different because like smaller businesses, they always have like the lowest budget, right? That doesn't mean that we're giving them like a crappy job or a crappy video or photo. We still analyze their situation and then we apply our service to them, if that makes sense. So basically we're helping big companies and small companies at the same time. However, they don't have the same budget, right? So if you're after the money, I would just say like, hey, give me this much amount and we'll give you this service, right? But it's actually the other way around for us because like we are like kind of looking at your problem and see how much offer or how much money is on the table, and if that money is enough to maybe solve that problem, Because if that's not enough, then I can tell you like a different solution to the problem, right?
So you're like a media doctor. You make a diagnosis and
Yeah.
then you prescribe the medicine and then you mix that medicine up
Yeah.
in the lab and then you
Exactly. And
administer.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I like about our business, our company, because like we always our priority is to help the companies uh, to grow their marketing strategies, to grow their company basically, or to earn more money, right? But then we're gonna have to take a look at the problem if it's like we're the right fit for their needs, right? If they say, hey, we have $10,000 budget, okay, what do you want? Well, I want like a Hollywood style of video or commercial. Obviously we cannot provide that, so we talk about it, and come up with the solution with the problem. If our values doesn't align with the company, we don't take that money. It's not about the money, right? So they can, we can just suggest other companies like, hey, contact this company. Maybe they can help you out with your vision. But for us, it's just not possible because of the amount of work that we need to put into this project. And the budget that you have is probably not going to do it, right? However, we can still provide you this kind of services if you need it, right? But if you're just after the money, you'll be like, yeah, definitely Hollywood. It's easy. Give me the money, and we'll provide you your Hollywood, advertisement video. But yeah, so I hope that explains you
Well,
what it means
yeah,
by
setting up
that.
for success, really,
Yeah,
not setting up for disappointment, right?
exactly. Because that company is probably gonna call you back after you finish the project because like you give them like a job or project or even like I don't know, a commercial video that doesn't align with their value or even just simply as the quality of the video. What you want is like a recurrent client, so you want them to come back to you every time that they need a video and photo, because that's how we handle clients, that's how we value them.
Would you say client is king?
Always. Client is king. Have you tried to go to a restaurant and you are not valued, you're not like being taken care of, and you just like
Well,
I've had a lot of those.
I haven't tried, but I've
Yeah.
succeeded. I succeeded without trying.
Succeeded without trying. Yeah, I've been to like a bunch of restaurants in Calgary where they're not even, uh, I don't know. It's like you're not being treated well, right? And I just never come back there afterwards because of how I was being treated while I was eating at the restaurant. Same thing with our clients. If our job is we don't provide them the best value or the best customer service that we can give them, 100% sure they're not going to come back again and say it's like, hey, Mark, Boyan, we need the video again. And the last video that you gave us was like very amazing. So they're not going to do that if you're like giving them like a very very video or you giving them like a very bad customer service.
Sounds good. I think we're out of time in our podcast. Would you like to wrap it up?
Yeah, well, again, guys, if you guys have any questions, just comment down below. We'll try to answer questions based on, I don't know, like the popularity of your questions, I guess. But we'll choose from the comments and then we can answer it through our podcast. However, we're still gathering people to come over to our podcast and talk about their business and talk about like their struggle, and because like this podcast is empowering. It's called Empowering Monday, so this should inspire you and motivate you to go after your goals and dreams in life, right? So if you guys have any questions, comment down below. And if you like this podcast, guys, please subscribe or hit that like button if you're watching this on Facebook, or subscribe if you're watching it on YouTube. And also, if you're listening to the actual podcast, Apple Podcasts, because we're on Apple Podcasts as well, you can hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of Empowering Monday. Again, my name is Mark Tabalon. I'm your host, and I'll see you guys into the next video. Peace out, guys. Go maximum force, guys.
Where I'm at.